Hey folks, how we doing? Mr. Carter here, ready to help you with Fluency and Skills Practice Lesson 28.1. And this one is solving problems about time. So go ahead and put your name on this if you haven't yet. And let's begin. Alright, so they're asking us to basically just solve the problems and show our work. So we're just going to take it one problem at a time. I'm going to do the first three with you, and then see how you do on your own with questions 4, 5, and 6, okay? So we'll give this a shot. All right, so we have Jose. He swims for 20 minutes. He rides his bike for 15 minutes longer than he swims, and then he walks his dog for 30 minutes. And then how long does it take Jose to swim, bike, and walk his dog? So I'm going to just underline what's important, and I'm going to put a circle around what the question is asking us. So again, Jose swims for 20 minutes. So I'm going to underline swims for 20 minutes. Then he rides his bike. So again, rides his bike 15 minutes longer than he swims. And then he walks the dog for 30 minutes. Okay, and now our question is, what we're trying to find out is how long does it take Jose to swim, bike, and walk his dog? So, what I've done is, on the whiteboard, is I just kind of started with what they're asking us, right? Sorry, there's a glare there. But you can see here that they're asking us to add how long he swims, bikes, and walks all together. So if I look back at the question, it straight up tells us that he swims for 20 minutes. So we don't have to do any figuring out there. So that's what I did here. I put swim for 20 minutes. Now when it comes to biking, we have to figure out a little bit. So it says rides his bike for 15 minutes longer than he swims. So here's what I did in green, the biking. And what I did was 15 minutes longer than swimming. We know that the swimming is 20 minutes, so that it's 15 minutes longer. So we got to add what it took him to swim and add 15 minutes to it. And that's going to give us what he does for biking. And then finally, he walks his dog for 30 minutes. Again, they straight up told us how long he walks his dog for. So I did it in brown. Walking is 30 minutes. So now basically we got to add all these up together. So I'm going to start with our biking, because we have to do a little figuring out. So 20 plus 15 is 35 minutes for biking. And then we're just going to add that to our swimming, which is 20 minutes, and the walking the dog for another 30 minutes. So when you put that all together, so 20 plus 30 is 50. And then another 35 would be a total of 85 minutes. So that is our answer for how long he swims, bikes, and walks all together. So I'm going to transfer that to my paper here, and it's 85 minutes. All right, let's look at number 2. So Tina wakes up at 7 o'clock a.m. A.m. means morning. And then we're going to go through her morning routine here. So she spends 10 minutes eating breakfast. Again, I'm going to underline that. She spends 15 minutes getting ready for school. So 15 minutes getting ready. And then the rest of the time she reads. So the rest of the time she's reading. Now, if she leaves school for at 8 o'clock a.m., how long does Tina spend reading? Okay. So we got to break this down into a couple of steps here. So first of all, we got to figure out how long she has to do her morning routine. So what she does, she gets up at 7 and then she goes to school at 8. Well, between 7 and 8 o'clock is 1 hour. Oh, sorry for the glare again. But 1 hour is 60 minutes. All right, so what we need to now do is take that 60 minutes and we got to subtract it from the things that she does. So she has 60 minutes total between when she gets up and goes to school. Now, we have to subtract it from how long she takes to eat breakfast, and then subtract it from how long it takes her to get ready. And that'll leave you with how much minutes she reads. Okay, so again, for breakfast, it told us in the problem, go back to the problem, it takes her 10 minutes to eat breakfast. So we're going to take 60 minutes total, subtract it from 10 minutes for breakfast. Well, that leaves us with 50 minutes, right? 60 take away 10, so she has 50 minutes. And then we have to subtract 50 from how long it takes her to get ready. Well, again, all right, it takes her 15 minutes to get ready. So 50 minus 15 minutes, okay, is, excuse me for a second, 35. All right, and that equals what she has minutes left to do to read. Okay, so back to my paper. Transfer that over. So it takes her 35 minutes to read. Now, if you want to check it, what you could do is say, okay, let's add that all up to see if that adds to an hour. So it takes her 10 minutes for breakfast, plus 15 to get ready for school, and then 35 minutes of reading. Okay, well, again, if we add that all up, it should equal 60, right, which is an hour. So 10 plus 15 is 25, 10, 25, plus 35, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then, yeah, so there we go, 60 minutes. Okay, let's go on to number 3. So we have Adam. Let's zoom in here. Adam watches a movie that's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. What's the total length of the movie in minutes? Okay, well, for this, I know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So then 2 hours would equal 120 minutes. Okay, so that's this part here, 2 hours. But we can't forget that it's 15 minutes long, right? So we got to go 120, which is the 2 hours, plus 15, and that we get 135 minutes. Okay, so again, our answer here is 135 minutes. Okay. Before I let you go on your own for 4, 5, and 6, let's talk about these real quick, and then I'm not going to do it out, but I do want you to try. I'll give you some hints on how to do these. All right, so number 4, in art class, Mr. Gibson spends 5 minutes giving instructions, 35 minutes working on the project, and 15 minutes cleaning up. Okay, so that's all the time he's working, right? If class starts at 1:15, what time does it end? Okay, so what you're going to need to do is figure out how long it takes to go through class, and then from there, add that to the time 1:15, and then that'll tell you, what time does it end. Miss Hall, number 5, spends an hour and a half total doing her yard work. She spends 40 minutes cutting the grass, and she divides the rest of her time evenly between planting a new bush and pulling weeds. How long does she spend pulling weeds? Okay, so a couple of steps here, right? So you got to start with an hour and a half, because that's the total. Then you need to subtract the time it takes to cut the grass, which is 40 minutes. And then you have to divide what's left over between planting a new bush and pulling weeds. So she's doing 2 more things in an even amount of time that's left. Okay, so that's your hint for number 5. At the park, Lisa spends 20 minutes on the swings, 10 minutes on the slides, 25 minutes climbing. If Lisa leaves the park at 4 o'clock, what time did she arrive at the park? Ooh, okay. So you're going to have to figure out how much time she spent at the park first. So I would add 20 minutes on the swings to 10 minutes on the slides to 25 minutes climbing. That's going to give you the total amount of time. Okay? Then you have to start at 4 o'clock and work your way backwards, right, to figure out what time did she arrive, because this is the time she left. Okay? All right. Good luck with that, and then I'll come back and give you the answer. So pause the video and work on questions 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So for number 4, we have Mr. Gibson, and he has art class. And class starts at 1:15. And here is how much time it takes for him to go through class, right? 5 minutes to give instructions, 35 minutes to work on the project, 15 minutes to clean up, all right? So what we got to do is we got to take all this time and figure out how many minutes that takes in all. And when I did that, I got 55 minutes. Now, if class started at 1:15, what time does it end? So I have a clock to help us with that. So here's our clock, and I have it set for 1:15, right? So the hour hand's on 1, the blue hand is on the 3, which means 15 minutes have gone by. So it's 1:15. So now I'm just going to add 55 minutes, and each big number is 5 minutes. It helps you count by fives, right? So here's 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes have gone by, 20, 25, 30 minutes have gone by, half an hour, and you can see that it's half of a clock, right? So 30 minutes or half an hour have gone by, 35, 40, 45 minutes has gone by. Now we're at 2 o'clock, right? So this is 45 minutes, and then 50 and 55. Okay, so now the clock landed on 2:10, and again you can see that the blue, I'll just move it slightly a little bit, the hour hand, the red hand, is on 2 o'clock, and then the minute hand is on 10. So it's 2:10 is when the class finishes. All right, so 2:10. Another way to think about it, boys and girls, is, so let me go back to 1:15, right? Now, 55 minutes is almost an hour. It's actually 5 minutes less than an hour. So if I went a whole hour, so that means the minute hand has gone around the clock one whole time. So this would be a full hour. And if it's 5 minutes less than that, so a full hour would have been 2:15, right? So 1:15, 2:15. But now if it's 5 minutes less than that, I just take my minute hand and go backwards 5 minutes. And then that's another way to figure that out too. All right. Okay, let's talk about Mrs. Hall. Well, she spent an hour and a half doing her yard work, 40 minutes cutting the grass, and then what she did is divided the rest of her time between planting a new bush and pulling some weeds. So, an hour and a half is 90 minutes. So how I figured that out? Well, 1 hour is 60, half an hour is 30, so altogether is 90 minutes. So that's what it took her to do the yard work. Well, it took her 40 minutes to cut the grass, so she's left with 50 minutes. And what she did with those 50 minutes is she split it evenly between two things, planting the bush and pulling weeds. So that's why I did 50 minutes divided in half evenly, gives her 25 minutes of time to pull the weeds and do the new bush. So our question is, how long does she spend pulling weeds? Well, that's 25 minutes. Okay, so number 6, we're talking about Lisa at the park, and she spends 20 minutes on the swings, 10 minutes on the slides, 25 minutes climbing. If she leaves the park at 4, what time did she arrive at the park? So again, I added all the time she spent at the park, and that was 55 minutes total time at the park. And clock is what's coming up next. So she started at 4 o'clock. So I'm just going to move my clock. Let me fast forward time here to 4 o'clock. Oops, I went too far. All right, so here is 4 o'clock. All right. So again, if she spent 55 minutes at the park, we got to work backwards to see what time she got there. Okay, so let's do that backwards. Okay, so here is 4 o'clock. That's when she left the park. All right, so she spent 20 minutes on the swing, so let's go backwards 20 minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20. So that's how many times she spent on the swings. She spent 10 minutes on the slides, so again, there's 10 minutes, and I'm working backwards, 5, 10, because again, I want to see what time she got there. All right, and then what's left is 25 minutes climbing. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes climbing. So she got to the park at 3:05. Okay. 3:05. All right. So another way you could have done it is, again, 55 minutes is almost an hour, right? It's actually 5 minutes less than an hour. So if she left the park at 4, if an hour before that would have been 3 o'clock. But again, it's not quite an hour. It was 55 minutes. So you could say that it was at 3:05. Okay, and that would get you the 55 minutes. All right, and 7, of course, they're asking you to check your answer a different way. So everyone's answers for that will be a little different. All right, friends, hope this was helpful. Reach out to your teacher if you have any questions. Take care.